What is going on, guys? Lildogdog here, and today I'm bringing you a brand new guide for this brand new quest, The Curse of the Black Stone. Now, The Curse of the Black Stone is the story behind the Elite Dungeons. It's finally released along with the final Elite Dungeon today. So I'm bringing you this guide as soon as possible. Took a while for me to make. I put a lot of work into it, so hate to do it, but could you please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment down below. I really appreciate it, and it motivates me to make these guides for you every time these videos come out. So let's get right into what you're going to need to complete this quest. In terms of quest requirements for this master quest, there actually are none, but it is highly recommended that you have completion of Slisk's endgame and Pieces of Hate so that you can actually understand what's going on with the story, because there are references and callbacks at several different points throughout the story. You just won't recognize these characters if you haven't done these quests. For skill requirements, the only things that are required are 12 agility and 34 woodcutting. That is all that is required to start the quest. However, to actually have all the requirements, it's recommended that you have at least 110 combat. You're going to need to complete several elite dungeons to even be able to progress through this quest. So if you have not done these and you don't know how to do these, it's recommended that you head over to the Elite Dungeons Friends chat, try and get a group, and go through the first three. They're not very difficult if you do them on story mode, but it still requires 3 people to do because it can be pretty difficult, and solo mode is exceptionally difficult, especially if you're not a max character. So that min 110 combat is not a requirement, but to be able to do the elite dungeons, it almost is. But that's your decision if you want to try them below that combat level. So like I was saying, to complete the quest there are additional requirements. You don't have to have these completed to start the quest, however there are going to be prompts throughout the quest that tell you to go complete these elite dungeons. Now, you don't have to do the elite dungeons at the time of the quest that it tells you. If you have done them before, you have the option to skip doing the elite dungeons. All you have to have done is killed the final boss at least one time to satisfy these requirements. And you have to complete the Temple of Amanishi, the Dragonkin Laboratory, and the Shadow Reef Elite Dungeons. The Shadow Reef Elite Dungeon being the one that was released today. And they're completed in that order throughout the quest. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, Lildogdog, I've done all that. Now what items do I need? Ba-bam! You're going to need 1 uncut dragonstone, 1 rope, 1 raw fish. Any type of raw fish works. If it makes you feel safer, I use a raw swordfish, if you just want to bring that. You're going to need 1 law rune in your inventory. You're going to need a bronze medium helm and an iron chain body. Now I didn't say that you're required to have a defense level able to wear iron. But you do have to be able to wear that iron chain body to progress through the quest, because you need to use that to get into the Black Knight Fortress. And lastly, the recommended items. As I said, if you're going to need to be doing these elite dungeons during the quest, you're going to need a full set of combat equipment. You still do need a full set of combat equipment because there is combat aside from the elite dungeons. But you just won't need as much food and other stuff because you only have to kill 12 monsters rather than complete 3 whole elite dungeons. I'm also going to recommend you bring a Ring of Kinship to get to and from Demonheim, because you're going back and forth several times throughout the quest. It's not needed, but I do use it every time to get to Demonheim. So if you want to follow along exactly doing what I do when I do it, bring that ring. If you are doing the elite dungeons, you're going to want plenty of food in your bank and a full inventory on your person. Leave a few open inventory spaces. Probably leave 6 inventory spaces for items you're going to have to take throughout the quest. But you're also going to want combat potions in your bank too to use if you're going to be doing these elite dungeons. Elite dungeon number 2 also requires anti-fires, and anti-poison could be nice to bring along if you are doing those elite dungeons. Now, to start the quest, you're going to want to use that Ring of Kinship to teleport to Demonheim and talk to Brill. Like I said, talk to Brill Thokdatir. He's going to be standing right out here. You have to right-click him and choose the talk option, and then choose the third chat option, Curse of the Black Stone. Now, at this point, he's going to start telling you about the quest and how the world is basically ending. It's your job as the World Guardian to stop this, so accept the quest. You can look at what items are required. You notice that the iron chain body and the bronze helm weren't included. You do need those. So you're going to want to click through the dialogue here where he kind of tells you what's going on, and that he needs you to find his informant in the Ark. And basically, you got to start there, finding the informant. So to get to the Ark, you're going to want to speak to Quartermaster Goalie, located right here in Port Sarim. So I just home teleported to Port Sarim. If you have a faster teleport than what I use in this quest, go ahead and use it. I use home teleports because I know everybody has access to those, and I don't put the teleport rooms as a recommended item or a needed item in the beginning of the quest. So I home teleport to Port Sarim, and I just walk northeast to speak to Quartermaster Goalie. Now this is actually my first time going to the Waiko Isles, so he sent me, or the Ark Isles, so he sent me right to Waiko, but just click travel on him and select Waiko if it's not your first time venturing in the Ark. Alright, once that cutscene is over, you're going to want to run south to Waiko Village and speak to Zuka, located in the Red Square. So as I said, talk to Zuka, and then you're going to want to choose the first chat option to ask about the Jade Spider. Now she's going to get real secretive about it, and basically give you another hint on where you can find the next hint for the Jade Spider. So choose the second chat option, farewell, and then we have to head to the Whale's Maw. You need to speak to the Sea Witch located in that red square right there about the Jade Spider once again, and she's going to give us the next clue on where to go. So we're going to go speak to Quartermaster Goalie, located on the dock where we arrived, and he's going to travel, or allow us to travel, to the Whale's Maw. So the Whale's Maw is near the top on the left side, and then from the dock you're going to want to run north and then west. You can just follow the coastline from the northwest, or just, actually run northwest. You'll pretty much get to the same spot. You'll see a Sea Witch standing on the coast here. She looks like a normal person, but she's a Sea Witch named Kala. And you're going to want to talk to her about the Jade Spider once again using the first chat option. Now she'll tell you that she didn't know who she could trust, so she hid it somewhere on the island. Where she hid it, easy enough, is a place we can just click on and dig. You don't even need a spade. So we're going to run to the west because I found the spot for you. That's why you're using a guide. You're welcome. Thank you. Leave a like. And you got to run past all these turtles. They're actually turtles, but Jagex being Jagex named them turtles. Kind of fun, I guess. And dig in the little sand spot right here by the ship. You're going to find that one of those turtles stole your ship. So you can choose to curse the gods or just get on with turtle hunting like I did. And you're going to want to hover over every turtle and see if they have a left click option to retrieve the note. Yeah, I think it's check turtle. Only one of them has it. And then when you check the turtle, it's going to give you that note. Now you can read it if you like the lore, or you can ignore it and leave it in your inventory if you're just following the guide, which I assume you are. But basically the note tells you that you need to go to 2 Elite. And how do you get to 2 Elite, you might ask? By speaking to Quartermaster Goalie. It's going to be a real common theme throughout this quest, speaking to Quartermaster Goalie. So he's found on the dock where we arrived, because his whole job is just waiting for you to travel. Despite all the other players, you're just inconveniencing everyone who's now stuck at Waiko. And you're going to go to 2 Elite. Top left. And from here, you're going to want to go south up the stairs, east, once again up the stairs, then south again. And you'll find a Sensei Seaworthy or something like that, who you're going to want to talk to. He is just west of the bank. Sensei Seaworth, not Seaworthy. I apologize for everyone who's offended. Anyway, choose the first chat option to ask about the Jade Spider. And finally, after all these hints, he tells you who it is. So, say farewell. And now we need to speak to Quartermaster Goalie to travel to Goshima. Now, while we're here, I'm going to tell you, if you're not prepared for combat, get prepared for combat, because there's combat. once we get to Goshima. You got to kill 12 Crasarians, I believe their name is. Crassians. Crasarians. Look at me. I'm supposed to know these things. But you're going to travel to Goshima using Quartermaster Gully and be ready for combat. Choose the first chat option after choosing Goshima that you want to find the Jade Spider. And you're going to see it's raining and miserable. And there's 12 bad boys in these areas that you got to kill. I would suggest starting at the bottom or the southeast side of the island and working your way up, because it's possible you miss one and you have to run back looking like an idiot. Not saying it happened to me, but the proof is in the pudding and you'll see it yourself. That wasted a bunch of time. Anyway, you got to kill all 12 of these boys. So I'm going to sit back, shut up, and let you listen to the music while you do that. You'll probably have them dead before I do. Once you've killed your last Crassian, I keep saying Crasarian, you're going to want to head into Goshima, into the easternmost house. So to get into Goshima, you obviously have to go through the gate. The gate is just to the northeast. It's the big thing that looks like a giant door. That's where we're headed. Now click on Open the Gate. This is RuneScape, so there's no real animation. You just sort of teleport to the other side. And then run east. You're going to see Madame Shih standing in her home here. Very barren home, but it is what it is. We don't judge. And she's going to be like, hey, you found me. Sorry for making it difficult, but people trying to kill me. I didn't like it, so I said it's all a bit overdramatic for my taste. She doesn't care. She did what she had to do, basically. And she tells you about what is going on in the Curse of the Black Stone and how, you know, you have to, at this point, go complete an elite dungeon if you haven't done it. So this is the point where you can't advance any further if you have not completed the Temple of Amanishi. If you have, you'll be presented with a chat option to skip, and you'll inform her that you've actually already done that. If you have not, you need to complete the dungeon, then return to Madame Shih. Like I said, there's a French chat. All you got to do is Google it, or you can just use Group Finder in-game. Once you've completed it, you're going to want to return to Madame Shih. And she's going to tell you that she's got this thing that needs to be translated by a dragon because it looks like a dragon language. So, who in the game can translate a dragon language for you? That French dragon who's in the bottom of the Varrock Museum. So we're going to home teleport to Varrock. I know there's a faster way to get there, but bear with me. Important to note, if you have a summoned familiar, You cannot take it into the Varrock Museum basement. So make sure you bank all their items. You'll see that my stuff kind of just disappears like that with the jump cut. Let's not worry about it. But yeah, you cannot enter the Varrock Museum basement with a familiar, so bank it at your earliest convenience, which is probably the one you have to run by if you also want to teleport. So enter the Varrock Museum basement. And then go into the door on the opposite side of the stairs. So there's a little cupboard area under the stairs. Just enter the door. And once you're in, you're going to want to speak with Mr. Mordeaux. Choose the second chat option to talk about Curse of the Black Stone. And he'll translate it for you, kind of telling you that it's essentially a map of a hidden laboratory, and you need to figure out how to get into the laboratory, and there's some hint about it being in Demonheim, near Demonheim. So we're going to use the Ring of Kinship and teleport to Demonheim. And once you arrive, you're going to want to run directly south to the fish statue fountain thing. You can see it right there. I kind of just clicked right next to it. Now, once you get next to the fountain, you're going to want to inspect it. You'll get a little bit of information about how it looks like it has 2 empty eye holes, and you're going to want to go directly east and search the fireplace. Within the fireplace, you're going to find a cut dragonstone, and you're going to want to use the cut dragonstone on this fish statue. Choose the first chat option to place the cut stone in the statue, and then you're going to want to select craft on the uncut dragonstone in your inventory and craft it into the right eye. Once you've crafted the dragonstone into the right eye, you're going to want to do the same thing and use it on the statue. Now once this happens, you're going to hear a clicking to the west, and that is the unlocking of a watchtower just to the west. So that watchtower was located right in the red area there, and all you have to do is enter. No puzzles yet. You heard me right, I said yet. And once you're into the crumbling watchtower, you're going to see that there's somebody else in there in the room just to the west. So enter the room to the west, and you get another opportunity to speak to Hannibus. Now Hannibus is going to be like, "What you doing here?" And you're going to be like, "What you doing here?" And you both realize that you're there kind of for the same reason. Something bad is happening. So you decide, we can work on this together, get shit figured out. So he kind of gives you the next, he gives you the next piece to your cryptid thing that you took to Mr. Mordeaux that Madame Shih gave you after you completed the Temple of Amanishi. So he kind of decodes it for you, and the next one, and he says, "You know what? I know where the third one may be, where the elemental dragons are created." Where are elemental dragons created, you may ask? Well, I had the same question myself. Turns out that it's in the Brimhaven dungeon. What do you know? Middle of nowhere. Literally the middle of Gielinor, just nowhere. So we're going to home teleport to Karamja. I mean, that's honestly probably the fastest way to get to this dungeon. It is right next to the lodestone. I don't want to hear about this one. And once you get to Karamja, you're going to want to pay Sanabak his, 1000 GP? I don't know. It's irrelevant. It's nothing. And then you're going to want to just enter the Brimhaven dungeon. Now this is the route you need to take to get to the Adamant Dragon dungeon. And there is a woodcutting area here where you have to chop through the vines, and the agility requirement, which is where, or an agility shortcut, which is where the requirements for this quest come from. Now, there's not really much I can say during this point other than just follow the path I drew out for you and get to the Adamant Dragon dungeon. There's really only one way to get there, because that's the way that the dungeon itself progresses, and I would hope by the time you're level 110 you've had to come to this dungeon at some point to slay something, because if you're level 110 without doing Slayer, that's probably the worst thing you could do for your bank account. So once you make it this far, chop your way through the vines and enter the Dragon Dungeon. You're going to want to select the first chat option for the Curse of the Black Stone because it's an instance dungeon rather than the normal Adamant Dragon dungeon. You'll find Hannibus down here in the dungeon with you, and he tells you that we need to find this cipher. And you know, it was actually kind of difficult to find, but all you have to do, because you're using a guide, is move to the east wall and search the mithril head located on the wall. You can see that there's heads of each type right on the eastern wall, right here. The cryptid that you're looking for is in the mithril head. Once you have that in your inventory, you're going to want to run all the way to the other side of the dungeon on the west side, and there's going to be one adamant dragon left alive that you're going to want to speak to. So you'll have to talk through Hannibus to speak to the Adamant Dragon, and really it's Hannibus, or the Adamant Dragon, talking through Hannibus. So he goes up and he approaches the dragon, and the dragon's really pissed off because something's going wrong with its babies. And you want to choose the first chat option, can you heat this metal? The dragon is just so full of rage it can't comprehend, but choose the third chat option, your baby is cold, warm her up, and it gives you a nice subtle blow onto the metal object and heats it up just enough. Now you're going to want to move to one of the pits just to the northeast, near the entrance or where the stairs are, and then investigate the pit. Your character will note it's deep and full of water, and then realize that if you put water on something hot, it will become brittle and break. So you're going to want to click through the dialogue and choose the second chat option to attach a rope and drop the heated metal into the pit. This is why you needed the rope. Now you're going to want to move to the south and use the heated metal on the dragon skull in the same room as the stairs. And you'll find that the teeth of the dragon skull are brittle or sturdy enough to break the metal on. So choose the first chat option to smash the metal, and you'll have your third cryptid. Now you're going to want to teleport to Daemonheim using your Ring of Kinship. Then enter the watchtower, which is just to the west. Now, once you're in here, you're going to see that there's a small room in the middle of the room you're currently in. You're going to want to enter that small room. And on the south side of the room, you're going to see that there is a shelf full of effigies with an option to inspect. So you're going to want to inspect the effigy shelves, and you'll find that one of the effigies can talk. Choose the second chat option, I'm looking for clues. And while it doesn't see much because it's trapped in a small room, it knows that there are these little statues located around the dungeon area that can activate the portals. So once you're done, you're going to need to solve this puzzle. To start, you're going to want to make your way to the west room, and activate the statue on the western wall. Sorry for the jump cut. I had to figure this puzzle out solo, so we're starting from where I really figured it out. Once you activate a statue, you're going to cut over to the portal room and see what portals were activated by that statue. Now we're going to want to proceed to the southern room, not the southeastern room, just the room directly south. And you're going to want to activate the statue in the center of this room. Now run to the southeast into the next room and activate the statue in the center of the room. There are 2 statues in this room. Do not activate the one in the southern room, just the southeast room. Now return to the starting room, not the west room, but the room just to the north, or I guess the center room, and activate the statue on the north wall. So that is going to be the room with the effigies where the ladder is. Just activate the statue in that room. Now lastly, you're going to want to return to the west room and activate the statue once again. I'm sure there is a much more efficient way to do this. However, wasn't many moves to complete a puzzle, so I figured it was rather close. And I wanted to leave it in exactly as I had done it rather than just tell you. This is a video guide. So you're going to want to enter the now stabilized portal room to the north. And once you're in the room, enter the portal, which is just a little crackling lightning right in the center. Yes, you want to go. And once you're in, you're going to be greeted by a cutscene with a bunch of dragons talking. You're going to have Carapac giving the speech talking to a bunch of other dragon riders. Apologies. Once the cutscene is over, you're going to want to run south and speak to Carapac yourself. If you're unable to speak to Carapac, try speaking to Hannibus first. You don't have to, at least I didn't, but it may be an issue. Because all Hannibus directed me to do was to talk to Carapac. So Carapac's going to essentially tell you he knows what's going on, but he can't give you any answers because that would be no fun. But he expected to see you here because you're the World Guardian. Just some lore for you if you're skipping through the dialogue. He butters you up, says he's impressed by it. No, that doesn't happen. I really wasn't paying attention either, so I don't know what happened at this point in the quest. And then once you're done speaking to Carapac and he says he has no more answers for you, just go back to where Hannibus is standing and exit through the portal. Now once you're back through, you don't need to be in this watchtower dungeon anymore, so exit the watchtower and return to Brill in Daemonheim. You could use your Ring of Kinship, it may be faster, but we're right in Daemonheim as soon as we exit the dungeon, so I just walked. Talk to Brill and choose the third chat option for Curse of the Black Stone. And once again, this is the point in the quest where you cannot progress any further unless you have completed the second elite dungeon, the Dragakin's Lab. If you have completed the dungeon, obviously you'll be presented with an option to skip, the second chat option, or you can do it again if you like. But to complete the quest in the amount of time that the video guide is, you're going to want to skip. If you have not done it, once again, use the dungeon finder, use the friends chat, or the group finder, and you'll be able to do that dungeon. Story mode is very easy. Return to Madam Shih on Goshima using Quartermaster Goalie, so obviously you're going to need to go to Port Sarim, unless you have some sort of arc teleport or something along those lines. Once again, wasn't in the needed or recommended items, so we're just using the easy method of home teleporting to Port Sarim and traveling using Quartermaster Goalie. Travel to Goshima, choose the first chat option, Curse of the Black Stone, and upon your arrival at Goshima, you'll be teleported directly into the town of Goshima, and the ambassador The final boss in the third elite dungeon will roll his ass up and wipe out the whole town. Just a jerk. So Madam Shih and you and my legendary pet right there managed to survive this blast. And somebody died right on screen. But Madam Shih gets real pissed off, and she goes, you know what, I'm going to go solo this elite dungeon. But obviously, because this isn't the end of the quest, it doesn't go well for her. We still have to do that. So she teleports off. You get put back at the dock of Goshima, and you need to go talk to Brill and Damonheim and kind of fill him in on what just happened. So, use the Ring of Kinship, teleport to Damonheim. Damonheim? Who knows? And then talk to Brill. Using, what was it? I don't know what chat option is off the top of my head. The third chat option, Curse of the Black Stone. Now you're going to teleport down by the water over here, which is actually near the entrance of the new elite dungeon, the Shadow Reef. So he'll tell you that we need to figure out how to survive underwater. So you're going to want to go to the Wizard's Tower and speak with Wizard Myrtle, which is what he tells you to do, because she knows how to, survive underwater. So I home teleported to Draenor because it's the closest teleport I have. And then I just ran south from the Lodestone all the way to the Wizard's Tower. So you're going to want to talk to Wizard Myrtle and choose the first chat option, Curse of the Black Stone. And she's going to run you through everything you need to be able to breathe underwater. Now, she can't join you because she is banished, essentially, from the sea, I think is the best way to describe it. But she can help you using some old potion recipe that she has. She can also get you the fish that you need for the potion. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is use that raw fish and that law rune, give them to her to get the fish. So once you click through all the dialogue here, you'll be presented with that chat option. She's also going to put a vial and some seaweed in your inventory that you need to figure out what to do with. So, choose the fourth chat option. Can you help me with that fish now? She'll be like, are you sure? But yeah, you're sure. You want to do it. First chat option, yes. And she's going to place the fish that you need in your inventory. Now, we're going to fill that vial up with the air. So, we need to go to Ice Mountain. Get really used to Ice Mountain because you're going to spend a lot of time there. Real quick. So, home teleport to Edgeville. And you're going to want to go to the west. And up onto Ice Mountain. Now, once you're sufficiently on the island, you're going to want to click on the empty enchanted vial to fill it. And then you're going to want to home teleport to Al Kharid because we need to go to the Cathard Abbey. From the Lodestone, you're going to go east and stand right next to the fountain and dry the seaweed. Once you've dried the seaweed, you're going to want to combine the ingredients to make the potion. Just click on any of the ingredients in your inventory to combine them, and teleport back to Brill using the Ring of Kinship. So Brill is at his station near the water now, so you need to go southeast to get there. So you're going to want to talk to Brill, and then once you talk to him, drink the potion, speak to him again. He'll be super hyped that you're ready to go. You can breathe underwater for the next few hours. Once you drink it, you've passed that point in the quest. It doesn't matter how long this takes. And then you're going to want to speak to Hannibus. Hannibus is going to tell you that he's got a plan on how to take care of the artillery at the Shadow Reef, and essentially that is by recruiting the dragon bosses. So we're going to start with the King Black Dragon. So you're going to want to home teleport back to Edgeville. And then from the Edgeville Lodestone, activate the artifact to the northwest and select the first chat option to meet with Hannibus. This is going to trigger a cutscene inside the King Black Dragon's lair, where he essentially recruits him because he's excited to see him. And the King Black Dragon is now on your side for the remainder of the quest. He'll help you take care of the ambassador. Now we're going to want to go to Mr. Mordeaux once again in the Varrock Museum. Once again, if you have a follower, get rid of it. So you can see I'm at the bank. I ditched my follower, and I home teleported to Varrock, even though it was probably quicker to run from Edgeville. Dumb. Let's just not worry about it. So, you're going to want to enter the museum basement and go into Mr. Mordeaux's room once again on the back of the stairs. Talk to Mr. Mordeaux and choose the second chat option, Curse of the Black Stone. Now he's going to be super excited to see Hannibus, an actual dragon rider. And he can't think of any dragons who may be able to help you, but he reveals that there is a dragon rider, Vindicta, who's seeing that there is another dragon rider may be willing to help. So he says maybe go try speaking to Vindicta, and Hannibus agrees, okay, I'll meet you there at the heart, obviously. So obviously I don't have a heart teleport on me as I didn't put it in the needed or recommended items. So what I did was I home teleported to Al Kharid, and then I took a flying carpet to Narda. So I traveled to Narda using the Flying Rug Merchant. And then from Narda, you're going to go southwest and enter the heart. Once you enter the heart, you're going to be greeted with the same chat options as you were before, so select the first chat option, yes, meet with Hannibus. Now you're going to get a cutscene where Hannibus and Vindicta are meeting, and they're arguing about, you know, how you should be as a dragon rider, and Vindicta's like, you should be a fighter, and Hannibus is like, but history. And it comes to fruition that Hannibus is Vindicta's father. And Hannibus is like, I'm sorry, I'm such a bad father, I didn't know I had any children alive. And he hopes that, you know, he can rekindle his relationship with his now daughter, who he's aware is actually his daughter. So they ramble about that for a bit, because the whole reunion and lore part of the quest. But, you know, you could essentially just hold down space and skip through all of it, like you probably do. And then you wait for me to finish the cutscene, because I don't do that, because I assume people don't do that. I'm just talking out loud here. Alright, once we get through all that sappy nonsense, Vindicta eventually agrees to help, and you've got the 2 dragons you need to successfully take out the artillery. So you're going to want to return to Brill in Daemonheim, Ring of Kinship, way to go. And it's southeast, as always, just on the coast. Talk to Brill. Talk to Quartermaster Goalie once Brill tells you to. And Quartermaster Goalie has a very unique request. Since there's a possibility he and his companions could die, will you help one of his companions, his seagull friend, repair his marriage? So, we need to travel to Waiko using Quartermaster Goalie. Said it was going to be frequent in the beginning of the quest. I wasn't lying. It's frequent. So, I went to Port Sarum, which is obviously how I did it earlier. And I just ran northeast. Talked to Quartermaster Goalie, who happens to be just all over the place. In several places at once, actually. And I traveled to Waiko. Once you're on Waiko, you're going to want to head up here just north of Moya's house, where there are these head statues. It's roughly in the area in red. It may not be perfect. There's not much detail on the map of the Ark. It's just sort of a rough outline of where everything is. Going to follow the path north here. You'll see all these head statues, and then just north of the statues you're going to see a seagull sitting on a bench. Talk to the seagull about possibly, or Steve's regrets, or whatever it is, and the Count from Pieces of Hate in all the pirate quests is going to appear and reveal that he is now Steven's wife's boyfriend. You try and tell her that he's a bad dude. She doesn't believe you, so you gotta gather evidence against him. The first piece of evidence is going to be gathered from a seagull located right here. There's going to be a jump cut after this because I had to find all these seagulls and I didn't really think it out. But it's just to the south of where the head statues are, south of Moya's house, at the bottom on the southern coast next to this house. You can see the seagull is located on top of this water barrel. Just talk to the seagull, and he's going to give you his complaints about the Count. Now you need to gather 6 pieces of evidence, so essentially you're speaking to 6 seagulls located all around the island. The next seagull is located on the pier, right here to the south of the central hub. And he's also sitting on top of a water barrel. Shih, I think. Because Shih is the Count's girlfriend. The next seagull is going to be located right here, just to the west of the central hub, in between the broken ship. Talk to the seagull for the next piece of evidence. The next seagull can be found right here. It's actually a little south of the red square. I thought there were 3 docks and it just wasn't on the map. But it's actually just south of where that red square is, on the bottom dock, or the southern dock. You'll find these seagulls sitting on a crate. Talk to the gull. He'll give you the next piece of evidence you need. And then you're going to want to go all the way to the north dock and find the seagull located in the cage there for your 5th piece of evidence. You can see the seagull is right there in the cage. Talk to the seagull, and they'll give you your next piece of evidence. Now, there's going to be a jump cut between this gull and the next gull because I had a little bit of trouble finding it. But it's located right here just to the south of Moya's house, sitting on a water barrel. So big jump cut right here. Sorry about that. But that's where the goal is found. Hopefully you were able to split the evidence a little bit by beginning to run right when that picture popped up. Talk to the goal, get your final piece of evidence, and then return to Steven's wife sitting on the bench. It'll be just to your north. So talk to Steven's wife, the seagull sitting right there on the bench. Click through the dialogue. The Count will disappear because you found sufficient evidence of him being a bad seagull. And then you're going to want to talk to Steven for his thank you before teleporting back to Damonheim and reporting to Quartermaster Goalie that you've successfully saved Steven's marriage. So I used the Ring of Kinship to teleport to Damonheim once again. I'm just going to intentionally fuck that name up from now on because I don't know how to say it. And from the teleport area, you're going to want to run southeast. Now, you've completed most of the recruiting stuff for all of your allies at this point, except for Higgs, Bogan Higgs. Bosun Higgs. So after you're done talking to Quartermaster, you're going to want to talk to Brill. And then after talking to Brill, you have to talk to Bosun Higgs, who says that you should recruit some Black Knights to help you. Now, doesn't sound difficult, but it is the most time-consuming part of this quest, except for the elite dungeons, I would say, and the amount of running is just annoying. So, we've got to go to the Taverley dungeon to speak to Lieutenant Crane in the Black Knight's fortress. So, home teleport to Taverley. and then go south to the dungeon entrance. If you're unfamiliar with the route you need to take, this is how you get to the Black Knight's base. And the individual you have to talk to is located in the black square at the bottom of the picture in the base. That's Lieutenant Crane. So if you have high enough agility, you can take a shortcut right there on your right to make it faster to get to the Black Knight's Fortress. However, as it was not a requirement for this quest, I did not use that agility shortcut, and I'm taking the long way around just so you know exactly where to go. Once you do finally make your way into the Black Knight's base, you're going to want to speak to Lieutenant Crane. She'll be a little defensive at first, but eventually you're going to want to choose the first chat option, Evie sent me. She says, okay, what's going on? She's a traitor, but I care about her, so what do you need help with? You tell her that you want their help with the end of the world. She says, oh, it's just the end of the world, and you explain that, no, it actually will be the end of the world, and we need your help. And she agrees to help on one condition, that you check in on her or his sister Tess, located at the Black Knight's Fortress. Remember when I said earlier that you have to go to Edgeville quite a bit? You're going to be around that Ice Mountain area, and it's going to get frustrating. This is that. So you're going to want to go to the Black Knight's Fortress. Make sure you have your bronze medium helm and your iron chain body in your inventory at this point. That's when you're going to need them. As you can see, I don't have them in my inventory now, but once I teleported, I do, because I had to run to my bank and grab them real quick. So I just home teleported again to make the jump cut seem seamless. So you can see they just appeared in my inventory, that bronze medium helm and the iron chain body. So run up to the Black Knight's Fortress, just on Ice Mountain. Once you're getting near the fortress, you're going to want to throw on your bronze medium helm and the iron chain body, and then enter the fortress. Once inside, talk to the fortress guard just to your right, and he's going to tell you, well, you'll ask about Tess, and he'll say that Tess wasn't doing well. Essentially, she failed, and that he hasn't seen her in a long time. The commander took him upstairs for an evaluation, and she has not been back down since. You ask where her belongings would be, and he tells you that they would be in the barracks on the west side of the castle. So her stuff is located in this room right here on the bottom floor of the castle. So you just need to go into that room, click on her armor, and you'll discover that her armor is actually sentient and can speak to you. So you're kind of surprised, but you have a conversation with it, and it says the same thing. Tess hasn't been back in a while. I'm armor I really want to be worn. And Tess is like, great, and everything like that. You need to go find Tess. She was upstairs. So, despite how intricate the fortress looks, not many things are clickable in this fortress or are locked and don't work. So you need to go to the staircase on the northwestern side of the fortress. Once you go upstairs, you'll find Tess, who's the female slave on the northern wall. Talk to her, and she kind of acknowledges you, but you can't really speak, and it is revealed that she does not have a tongue and has to write everything down she wants to say. She had it cut out by the commander when he made her a slave. She says that he made all the female Black Knight candidates a slave, and wants you to tell Lieutenant Crane about it so she can do something about it. So what you need to do now is return to the Taverley dungeon and run all the way back to Lieutenant Crane. Fun, I know. Whew, we made it back. Now you're going to want to talk to Lieutenant Crane, which is what you came here to do. And choose the first chat option, she's a slave. Once you're done clicking through all the dialogue here, and Lieutenant Crane deciding that she's going to try and fix this herself, you're going to want to return to the Black Knight Fortress so that you can help Tess escape from the fortress. So home teleport to Edgeville once again. Make your way around to the Black Knight Fortress entrance. Make sure you still have your bronze medium helm and iron chain body equipped. Enter the fortress, and then go directly to Tess's armor in her room on the west side of the fortress. Search the armor, and after speaking with the armor, it will say we should sneak her out of here. You think, hey, she will blend in if she's wearing the armor. So you take the armor and place it in your inventory. Now you're going to want to take the armor to Tess, who's located upstairs. And then talk to Tess, located on the north wall, and you're going to have to choose one of the options to break her out of her shackles. I chose option 3. I don't know if it has anything to do with your thieving skill. You can brute force the lock or use the first chat option to ask her how she got stuck, or what she thinks you should do. Choose the first chat option to escape now, and then the armor is placed on Tess, and it's super excited that, you know, it's back on Tess again. After the reunion is over, it's going to ask if you want to help Tess escape now. Choose the first chat option, yes, and it's going to trigger a cutscene where you and Tess attempt to walk out and are stopped by a Black Knight. I think a lieutenant. Now, when he asks you what you're doing, not at your post, you're going to want to choose the second chat option to lie. And your character, after being confronted with the fact that you should be at your post no matter what, will ramble on about the greatness of Zamorak and how they serve the Dark Lord and how you shouldn't question that he is serving the Dark Lord. You eventually are able to escape. Now this is going to take you back to the Black Knight Fortress in Taverley. Thank the Lord, you don't have to run again. And then once you're back in the dungeon, you'll approach Lieutenant Crane. And Lieutenant Crane will call a medic over because Tess is going to collapse at her feet, but not without thanking you for returning her. You're going to want to talk to Lieutenant Crane. She'll tell you that she wants to take care of the commandant at the Black Knight Fortress. So you're going to want to teleport to Damonheim to speak to Bosun Higgs. And also recruit Bosun Higgs to help take care of the commandant in the Black Knight Fortress. So once you talk to Bosun, you kind of fill her in on what's been going on and what you need her to do to essentially get the Black Knights on your side. So she agrees that she'll make her way to the Black Knight Fortress, and all you have to do is lure the commandant on the roof to take care of him. So now we have to go back to the Black Knight Fortress for the third time. Home teleport to Edgeville. And obviously you're going to run up Ice Mountain through the gates, making sure you still have your medium helmet and iron chain body on. Once inside the fortress, you're going to want to go to the northwest side and climb up the stairs. And then you can find the commandant on the north wall of the dining hall. The dining hall is just to your east, and he'll be standing on the northwestern side of the dining hall, against the wall. Right here. There's no chat options for this dialogue. Your character just says exactly what needs to be said to lure him to the roof, essentially telling him that Bosun is there, the traitor, and that he needs to take her on. You're going to get a cutscene where Bosun and the commandant argue with you there, and then Lieutenant Crane comes up behind and ambushes the commandant. Once that's all over, you're going to be teleported back to the Black Knight Fortress, and you're going to want to speak to Lieutenant Crane one last time. She'll essentially help, or say thank you for helping her sister out, and now you're going to want to teleport to Damonheim to speak to Brill. Now, you've helped everybody out before going into the final dungeon, which means it is time for the final dungeon. So, at this point in the quest, if you have completed the Shadow Reef, you can choose to skip doing the dungeon again, just like the past two, and you want it to do the dungeon. If you have not, you need to do the Shadow Reef dungeon at this point to finish the quest. I had, by the time I got to this point in the quest, so I got to skip the dialogue, doing the whole speech thing. I'm not sure if there were any chat options there. I apologize. But it's going to take you to this cutscene after you do complete the dungeon, where everyone thanks you for your service in taking care of the ambassador, and they agree that they all owe you big time for doing what she did. So Madam Shih says that, you're great. Hanavis says, you're great. And I think it's Quartermaster Goalie says that he deserves you a drink. No, it's Brill who says that he owes you a drink. And after this little cutscene is over, you've finally done it. That's quest complete. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you join the French chat Lildogdog and subscribe to my Twitch at twitch.tv/Lildogdog. If you haven't, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos. I've got all sorts of quest guides, and all sorts of guides in general. I also do a Hardcore Iron Man series, and I did one in the past, so be sure to check that stuff out. Thank you very much for watching, and I love you.